Never said anything about a unicycle, though. Nuts and raisins go flying everywhere. 2 cream, 3 sugar for CARK. Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing today? I hope that you are very, very well. My name is Beth, or Queen of Spade. Please do give this video a like. Subscribe if you're new, please. And now, without further ado, let's throw some spade. You know, do the video and stuff. An r/malicious compliance video. Malicious compliance. People conforming to the letter but not the spirit of a request. It has 1.5 million members, and there are at least 4,000 members online at any given time. It was created January 4th, 2016. My parents told me I couldn't watch TV, so I burned all the TVs. Social distancing, malicious compliance edition. I go into maximum overdrive so you can't punish me. Cast, me, 14-year-old male. My mom, a 42-year-old female. Nobody got a business crash or a vacation yeeted. Pretty small malicious compliance, but I'm proud of this. So we bought a house and the front was blocked by a big 8-foot privacy fence, and it just didn't look good. I ripped it down, but my mom insisted we keep this old crusty wood for some reason. Turns out she wanted me to put it back up, but this time with new support beams. The thing's going horizontal, not the posts, but using the old crusty wood pickets and make it a little 3-foot fence. Now, this is all fine. I get to learn a new skill and get started on taking the sections to the sawhorses we borrowed and cutting 2 3-foot sections out of 1 8-foot and taking the pickets off the old beams. Right then, my goal was to make pickets and then put them up after I had made them all. Makes sense. My mom still wanted visible progress each day, so I threw a few up between cutting up stuff. Then yesterday, my mom got to talking about the vaccine and how she didn't trust it. My opinion was the exact other way around. Good boy. She didn't like this. And said until I was finished with the fence, I was grounded from everything. Thing is, she thought that it took me the whole day to put up the measly few I was putting on each day to give her her visual progress, and didn't know that I was prioritizing making them instead of mounting them. And that night I had finished making the pickets and the support beams were up. She thought she had grounded me for at least a week. Today I put up all the pickets and finished the fence. She was absolutely shocked that what she thought was a surefire grounding for at least a while turned out to last about 3 hours because unbeknownst to her, I had already completed the harder part of the job. Alright, and people don't start vaccine debates in the comments, please. We are pro-vax here. But yeah, my first time making a fence had a sprinkle of malicious compliance. And I'm all for this one, and get them vaccines, will ya? Due to limited COVID-19 seating, you may be asked to share your table. Thank you, management. No bicycle riding, rollerblading, roller skating, skateboarding, scooter riding. Never said anything about a unicycle, though. You're working 20 minutes more every day? Unacceptable. In the early 2000s, I was living in the commuter belt and working in central London. For those not familiar, London only has one train line running through it from north to south. Okay, pedants, there is the #CrossLizPerp line coming, but it's not here yet, and this was 2000 something. The rest of the lines terminate at somewhere on the circle line of the underground roughly. For your average commuter, that means your local train will go to between 1 and 4 stations, and so you'll favor jobs your side of the city to save getting a bus or two, but for many it involves 1 or 2 of them too. For me, I only had one destination from my local station, which was a tiny, slow trains only one. And it wasn't the station right across the road from my office. To get there, I would have to make a change. This added to the journey time just enough that I was 5 minutes late to work every day. However, I've lied to you. There was one and only one train a day that went to the station I wanted, but it left an hour earlier and got me in an hour and 20 minutes earlier. There was also a single train back in the evening 30 minutes after I clocked off. So my daily routine was to get the train with a change in the morning, arriving 5 minutes late. And in the evening, I'd work 25 minutes extra and get the direct train home. With the station being so close, I was fine to leave it that close to the wire. I usually got a seat, even cutting it so fine, so all was good, for about 18 months. For some reason I do not understand. Maybe it was my fighting with the guy who kept assigning me work even though he wasn't my boss. My actual boss relayed that his boss, the head of IT, was unhappy with me constantly being late. I was young. I was naive. I thought they'd understand that I was working a net plus 20 minutes every day. My boss was actually very cool and didn't want me to be dealing with this, but his boss was making a stink. So he explained to his boss, and the reply came back that I must be in on time because those are your contracted hours. I was young and naive, but that doesn't mean I wasn't a pedantic little shit. I proceeded to get the early train, losing an hour's sleep each morning, and arrive at the office 1 hour and 20 minutes early, took my shoes off, put them up on my desk, set an alarm, and did my best to claw back that lost sleep. As people trickled into the office, I refused to work or even answer a phone until I was within my contracted hours. Come clocking off time, I would pack up and leave to go stand on the platform for nearly 25 minutes, staring off into the distance, thinking about all the work they are losing from me. That lasted about a week before I was told I can't sleep at my desk. So I found the smallest break room that had a sofa and made that my nap spot. It wasn't comfortable, but I was pissed at how strict they were being. Of course, I carried on going home when my contracted hours were up. A few weeks later, my chance came. The shit had hit the fan, and they needed me to work late. As I said before, my immediate boss was cool, and I had a I know you know what I'm really saying when I say this conversation with him about how this was outside my contracted hours. But I understand that there is give and take in that when it's needed or doesn't cause an issue. Give and take, right? After that evening, I started showing up 5 minutes late again and nothing was said about it again. I also started staying right up until my train was due. Sometimes.
My boss told me to change the sign, so I did.
I'm sorry, but employees can't eat. I used to work at a restaurant. It was actually 2 separate joints that shared a kitchen that was often very slow during the week. I was pretty friendly with most of the bartenders, cooks, other servers, etc., except the manager and the assistant manager. The manager had been there for about 1,000 years and was a cantankerous old guy that hated everyone and mumbled to himself a lot. He would often brag that he drove home half asleep at 4 a.m. and would jolt himself awake using the rumble strips when his car crossed into the shoulder. The assistant manager, like many assistant managers, was mean and bitter because he didn't have enough power to call the shots as the manager, but had enough power to order the rank and file around and generally make life miserable. Our story begins one Tuesday evening. It was a slow night in my half, but the other place had live music and a decent crowd. So I had been hustling and helping out the folks on the other side while waiting, maybe 2 or 3 tables all night on my end. It's about 9:30 and the kitchen closes at 10, so things are winding down. I'm in the kitchen talking with the cooks and the assistant manager, and I'm standing by the expo table where there's a plastic bin filled with ice and then small buckets for toppings, things like tomatoes, lettuce, onions, etc. Since I've been there since about 3:30 and I haven't had anything to eat, I take a pickle smear from the bucket and bring it to my mouth to eat it. Let me stress at this point that this happened all the time, and literally everyone did it, including the assistant manager. But the pickle never reaches my mouth. He slaps my hand and I drop it. I'm kind of confused. The cooks are confused too. I turn to him and ask, "What was that?" He says in a scarmy voice, "Employees can't eat." Rather than remind him that he himself had eaten a few Oreos in just the same manner a few hours before, I stay silent because I know revenge is a dish best served cold. Fast forward several weeks. It's a Friday night and the place is very busy. Many of the regulars are at the bar chatting and having a good time. There's kind of an ante room where the staff can hang out after work if we don't need the space. I clock out and see that 2 of my coworkers are having a beer there, so I go over to join them. One of the regulars sees us and brings us a bowl of some homemade trail mix he made. It was a nice time, sitting with some friends after work, drinking beer, and eating some trail mix. Enter the manager, the assistant manager, and another waiter. He has to void something on a check, and he needs a manager ID to okay it. Normal stuff. They finish, and as they're going for the door, I see the assistant manager side-eye the trail mix. I know what must be done. He stops and walks over to the table and grabs a handful of the trail mix. Immediately, I bring my left hand up and forcefully slap his hand into the bowl. Nuts and raisins go flying everywhere. The 2 people I was with stop talking. Everyone looks at me and silence falls. In a clear, angry voice, the assistant manager turns to me and asks, "Why did you do that?" Without hesitation, I look him right in the eye and say, "Employees can't eat." After about 5 seconds of silence, he turns and walks away, and we resume socializing. The guy was hated almost universally at the place. I had a lot of fun retelling the story for the next few weeks, because revenge is a dish best served cold with trail mix in this restaurant. Nuts and raisins go flying everywhere. I said my name was Mark with a C. 2 cream, 3 sugar for CARK. For CARK, please. Who's CARK? Who's CARK? Thank you so much for tuning into this r/malicious compliance video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, subscribe if you're new, think about joining my members, and no matter where you are, what you're doing, I hope that you have a fabulous, fabulous day. Take care. Bye.